Man, what night to be an Eagles fan, right? I mean, honestly, if you were watching that game and didn't have a heart attack at least once, you weren't really paying attention. The highs, the lows, the chaos, it was all there in front of us. And let me tell you, this wasn't one of those clean, effortless wins where you just sit back and enjoy the highlights. No, this was the kind of game that tests your loyalty, makes you question everything, and yet somehow keeps you coming back for more because deep down, you still believe in the team. Starting off, we had some serious mishaps in the kicking game. Jake Elliott missing that field goal was rough, no doubt about it. And A.J. Brown dropping that crucial catch in the end zone. Yeah, that hurt, but if we're keeping it real, those moments don't even begin to capture the chaos of what went down. What really makes you shake your head is when you look at the quarterback play. Jalen Hurts, he had an absolute nightmare of a game. 5 turnovers. 5. And it wasn't just spread out over multiple plays, it was like one after another in the same sequence. One moment he's throwing a pick, the next a forced fumble happens, and then he fumbles himself. It's almost like you blink and a disaster happens all over again. Think about it. One series, one player, and it's a cascade of mistakes that nobody expects to survive a game with. And yet somehow, the defense keeps you alive. And speaking of the defense, that's the silver lining in all this chaos. It was a defensive battle, and honestly, it was entertaining. You could see the heart and effort from guys like Jordan Davis, who just refused to let anything slide, and Marcus S., who stepped up huge compared to some others. Cooper Dean had his best outing of the season, and Adoree Jackson, catching a pick and really showing up, made you forget about some of the struggles elsewhere. Byron Young, breakout game. Phillips showing that edge presence we needed. Even Nolan Smith put together one of his stronger games. And Fangio, despite starting off shaky and having to weather 5 turnovers from the offense, managed to keep the team competitive. That's coaching under pressure, and it shows that even in disaster, there's skill guiding the team. But the offense, man, the offense was a different story. Saquon Barkley still showed flashes of brilliance, still has that juice, but outside of him and A.J. Brown, the rest was inconsistent at best. You look at the O-line, and it's frustrating, really frustrating. Jordan Matta can't stop holding. Cam Jurgens has to get off the field because he's costing the team. Tyler Stain just doesn't have the pull or the reliability you need. The result? Points left on the field, drives that stall, and a quarterback forced into impossible situations. Devontae Smith had one of his worst games of the season, even though he came up clutch in one tight throw from Hurts. It's just not clicking, and you have to wonder if the play calling is part of the issue or if it's deeper than that. And Jalen Hurts, man, I want to be fair. He's asked to do a lot, and yes, this wasn't his best game. But 5 turnovers? That's not just bad luck. That's a pattern you can't ignore. You see it, and you have to ask yourself what's next. Benching him is tempting to some, and I get why fans scream for it in the comments. But at the same time, if you pull him now, what does that even say about the season? You're basically telling everyone that the season is over. And no, this isn't like previous seasons where the team could ride through a slump. The mistakes compounded, the offensive line couldn't protect. The receivers weren't all making plays, and the defense was forced to bail everyone out again and again. You also have to give credit where it's due. The running game finally saw some respect. Kellen Moore deserves props for listening to the players, actually giving the nod to the run game when it was clearly the most effective approach. Jordan Matta and the others went to him, said, "Look, we need to stick to this," and they executed it. The run game worked, it moved the chains, and it gave the defense some breathing room. But still, we're scoring barely 20 points in games where that just doesn't cut it anymore. Since the Cowboys game, the offense has been broken. The morale, the momentum, the belief, it's all fragile. And to see grown men hyped up by some over-the-top mascot gesture just to boost energy, it's almost laughable. The positivity is needed, yes, but when the results don't match the hype, it's hard to stomach. And the signing of some players, looking back, makes you question the decision-making even further. Outside of Barkley and Brown, other acquisitions haven't delivered. It's not a hit against their talent necessarily, but the fit, the timing, the execution, something isn't lining up. And that brings us to the coaching. Nate Sirianni, it's tough to say this, But the team needs a head coach who can call plays, someone who can manage the offense under pressure and actually adapt. You need a Shane Steichen, an Andy Reid, someone proven on the offensive side to run the team efficiently. Otherwise, it's the same cycle over and over. A coordinator gets fired, someone new comes in, we hope for improvement, and then disappointment strikes. Without that stability and strategic leadership, it's hard to imagine this offense truly getting out of its own way. The defense, though, gives a glimmer of hope. The front seven brought the pressure, racked up sacks, forced fumbles, and made plays in crucial moments. They showed heart, determination, and an ability to keep the team alive even when the offense was in shambles. The contrast between the offense and defense was stark. You could see the energy and skill on one side, and the chaos and mistakes on the other. It's maddening, but it's also what makes following this team impossible to quit. Even in the middle of the frustration, you can't deny the talent. Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Dallas Scott, Devontae Smith in flashes, and even the younger defensive players showing promise. The pieces are there. The talent is there. But execution, decision-making, and leadership are the gaps that need fixing. Watching this game was exhausting, heartbreaking at times, yet somehow thrilling. You feel every turnover, every mistake, every big play, and you're invested in every second because that's what being a fan is all about. The love for the team keeps you watching, keeps you hoping, keeps you talking about it late into the night. And despite the mess of errors and missed opportunities, there's still a pulse of excitement. A reason to believe that if the right adjustments are made, this team can still fight through the chaos and find a way to compete at the highest level. Continuing from where we left off, the heartbreak of watching this offense struggle is something that lingers long after the game ends. Every fan knows that sinking feeling when the drives stall, when opportunities slip through fingers that should be steady, when a quarterback is scrambling not just physically, but mentally, trying to make something happen that the game plan or the line isn't letting him. Jalen Hurts had moments where you could see the flash of the player we all know he can be, but those flashes were buried under a mountain of turnovers, ill-timed throws, and decisions that made you question if anyone on the offensive side truly had control. You can't help but imagine how different things could look if the plays were simpler, the protection tighter, and the read smarter. And it's not just the quarterback. The wide receivers, while talented, struggled to find consistency. A.J. Brown had his moments, pulling off catches that reminded you of why he's elite, but those moments were too rare, too scattered, and often overshadowed by mistakes that could have been avoided. Devontae Smith, who has the potential to be a top target, had a night where he just couldn't get into rhythm, except for a brief window in the middle of the game. It's frustrating because you know the talent is there. It's just not translating. The offensive line compounds that problem. Jordan Matta, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Stain, all of them had breakdowns that cost the team crucial yards, caused unnecessary pressure, and left Hurts exposed at the worst possible times. Every holding call, every missed block, every mistake became magnified in a game where margins were already razor-thin. The running game, led by Saquon Barkley, was one of the few constants that you could cling to. Barkley still has that explosiveness, that ability to break tackles, that vision to find a lane when others can't. It's almost maddening how the team leans on him. Not because they should, but because there isn't a reliable backup plan when the passing game falters. The run game worked intermittently, especially when the coaching staff listened to the players and gave Barkley and the line opportunities to find rhythm, but it was inconsistent and the clock didn't always work in their favor. Coaching decisions were another headache. Nate Sirianni's approach, while showing flashes of adaptability, didn't save the day. Some calls were questionable, forcing passes where none needed to be forced, ignoring the lanes that were open, or failing to take the safer, smarter options on critical downs. The tension between player ability and play calling was palpable, and as a fan, you could feel that tug-of-war from the couch. It's clear that the team needs a head coach who can call plays, someone who can manage adversity in real time, adjust strategies on the fly, and extract the best from the players, rather than leaving them to fend for themselves in high-pressure moments. And yet, despite all these offensive struggles, The defense carried a torch that kept the Eagles in striking distance. The front seven brought relentless pressure, sacks, and hits that disrupted the rhythm of the opposing quarterback. Players like Jordan Davis and Byron Young were relentless, making their presence felt on every snap. The secondary, while not perfect, created turnovers, made crucial tackles, and generally showed that when the offense falters, this side of the ball refuses to let the team collapse. Fangio's schemes, outside of the opening drive hiccup, were clever and effective, especially considering how many times the defense was put in tough positions due to offensive miscues. It's a testament to their discipline and heart that the game stayed competitive, even under such extreme pressure. It's also worth noting how individual players stepped up in moments of chaos. Cooper Dean had one of his standout games, catching critical passes and contributing both in blocking and in route running. Adoree Jackson's pick was huge, a highlight that reminded everyone why defensive backs can change a game in a single moment. Marcus S. played far better than expected, providing support in areas where others were failing. Even the younger guys like Nolan Smith made critical plays, showing that there's a core of talent ready to rise if given guidance and opportunity. The defense, in a way, became the emotional anchor of the team. But watching this season's offensive roller coaster is exhausting. Scoring barely 20 points in crucial games is not just disappointing, it's demoralizing. Every fan knows the stakes, every fan feels the tension, and every fan sits back and wonders if the pieces will ever align. The media, the hype, the mascots, the locker room antics, they all seem like distractions in comparison to the fundamental problems on the field. The talent exists, but execution, leadership, and consistency are missing. Until those gaps are addressed, it's hard to imagine the offense reaching the potential that everyone knows it has. The emotional investment is real. You feel every turnover, every failed route, every misread, as if it's happening to you personally. You love the team, you cheer for the wins, you grind through the losses, and yet you can't help but imagine the what-ifs. What if the quarterback had more protection? What if the play calling was smarter? What if the receivers were in rhythm? What if the coaching staff made the right adjustment at the right time? Those questions hang in the air, unanswered, frustrating, but impossible to ignore. It's what keeps fans talking, debating, and yes, sometimes yelling at the screen in disbelief. Even with the chaos, there are reasons to hope. Saquon Barkley is still a game changer. A.J. Brown can still make the difference in critical moments, and the young defensive stars are improving every game. You can see flashes of the team. They can be disciplined, dominant, and exciting. But bridging the gap between flashes of brilliance and consistent, reliable performance is the challenge. Without changes in coaching philosophy, play calling, and perhaps even personnel, the offense is at risk of continuing this trend of frustration. The defense gives fans heart, but the offense is what decides championships. And until it clicks, every game feels like a battle not just against the opponent, but against the clock, mistakes, and missed opportunities. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The corridors around Philadelphia are humming with a familiar electric tension. A rumor, still semi-official, still wrapped in whispers, has begun pulsing through the city. Josh Sweat may be on his way back to the Eagles. And if the early chatter is to be believed, his return could come with a stunning, emotional twist. A brief clip circulating among insiders shows Sweat himself uttering the unexpected phrase, "I made a mistake," a line that has instantly set off one of the loudest waves of speculation the city has heard in years. No one is quite sure what mistake he's referring to. Was it leaving Philadelphia in the first place? Was it a decision behind the scenes, something fans never saw? Or was it simply the recognition that not every chapter ends the way an athlete imagines? Whatever the meaning, one thing feels undeniable. Sweat seems ready to rewrite it. Sources close to the situation describe a player who has been watching Philadelphia from afar, feeling its pulse, its resilience, its hunger for familiar heroes. And few players embodied that grit like Sweat. His explosive edge presence, his charisma, and his connection with the fan base turned him into more than a standout defender. He became a symbol of how a city embraces those who fight with heart. Now, that same city is bracing for what could become one of the most unexpected homecomings in recent memory. People inside team circles refuse to comment, yet their silence only fuels the fire. Even players have been dropping subtle gestures, cryptic emojis, vague references to unfinished stories that have left fans dissecting every post. The idea of Sweat walking back into the Eagles facility has ignited a feeling that goes beyond tactics or roster math. It touches something deeper, something emotional. Philadelphia has always been a place where redemption arcs thrive, where second acts are not only accepted but celebrated. If the rumors pan out, Sweat's return would carry the weight of a player who realizes the bond he had with this city never fully faded. And so, the rumor grows. The noise spreads. The anticipation builds. No confirmations yet, no denials either. Only a swelling belief that Josh Sweat's story in Philadelphia might not be finished after all. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.